The Kyushu Mountain Pass Tunnel, the road that survived time, disasters, and vanishing travelers, extended true history and legend. In the southern island of Japan, Kyushu is known for its volcanic landscapes, deep forest valleys, and mountain ranges that feel older than memory itself. Before modern infrastructure reshaped the region, travel through these mountains depended on narrow, dangerous passes carved into stone and soil by generations of workers. One of these forgotten routes, an old mountain pass with a tunnel built through it, has become the center of one of Kyushu's most persistent local legends. But unlike typical ghost stories, this one is layered with real historical events, natural disasters, infrastructure failures, and repeated human tragedy. Over time, these facts and fears merged into something far harder to separate, history and folklore becoming one continuous story. 1. The ancient route, before roads existed. Long before asphalt and tunnels, this region of Kyushu was crossed by footpaths used by hunters, monks, and traders. The mountain itself was considered both a protector and a barrier. Early maps from the Edo period show only rough indications of a pass, never a proper road. Travelers would follow stone markers and river bends, relying on local knowledge rather than navigation. Historical travel diaries from the region describe sudden fog walls that reduce visibility to near zero. Strange acoustics where voices echo incorrectly. Animals refusing to cross certain areas. And a sensation of being watched in empty forest. At the time, these were not considered supernatural. Instead, they were attributed to volcanic gas emissions, common in Kyushu's geothermal zones, unstable mountain weather patterns, and psychological fatigue during long journeys. Still, local villagers treated the pass with caution. It was known as a place where travelers could easily lose time. 2. The Meiji Transformation, when the mountain was cut open. During the Meiji era, late 1800s, Japan began rapid modernization. Roads were expanded to connect rural areas to growing cities. The Kyushu Mountain Pass was selected for improvement due to its strategic importance. The first official road construction project attempted to widen the route for carts and early wagons. However, engineers quickly encountered serious problems. Frequent landslides during excavation. Rock layers that were unusually unstable. Water seepage appearing from unknown sources. And repeated structural collapses without clear cause. Construction logs from the period mention delays and worker complaints. One entry describes: the ground shifts even after reinforcement. It does not behave like normal stone. Despite difficulties, a narrow road was completed. It was still dangerous, but now passable. However, accident rates increased rather than decreased. 3. The early disasters, the road gains a reputation. By the early 1900s, the mountain pass had become infamous locally. Accidents were not just frequent, they were strangely repetitive in nature. Reports include vehicles losing control at the same curve repeatedly. Horses refusing to enter specific sections of the road. Travelers disappearing during clear weather with no storms present. And abandoned carts found intact with no sign of struggle. One documented police inquiry from the era noted: no evidence of forced removal or external attack was discovered. Yet families continued reporting missing relatives. Over time, the same section of the road gained a reputation as a no-return zone. Locals began placing small roadside markers, stones, wood, or cloth strips, to signal safe passage. 4. The decision to build a tunnel. After repeated incidents and rising travel demand, authorities decided to bypass the dangerous curves entirely by building a tunnel through the mountain. This was a major engineering project for its time. The goal was simple: eliminate the most dangerous part of the pass. Construction began with government approval and was initially considered a model modernization project. But almost immediately, unusual challenges appeared. 5. Construction phase, the unusual engineering problems. Workers assigned to the tunnel reported conditions that did not match geological expectations. Documented and oral accounts include drilling equipment breaking without visible damage, sections of rock that sounded hollow but were structurally solid, temperature drops deep inside the excavation zone, and echoes that did not match the shape of the tunnel. Some workers refused night shifts entirely. A recurring complaint was that voices could be heard inside the rock before any drilling reached that area. One engineer reportedly wrote, "It feels as if we are not building through the mountain, but through something already occupied." Despite these concerns, construction was completed. The tunnel opened to traffic shortly after. Tunnel opens, safety turns into something else. At first, the tunnel seemed to solve the problem. Travel time decreased, and the dangerous curves were avoided. But within months, new reports emerged. Unlike previous accidents, these were more psychological and sensory in nature. Drivers reported sudden silence inside vehicles, radios and engines unaffected externally. Headlights appearing dim despite full power. Reflections showing movement where none existed. And a sensation of time distortion while passing through. Some travelers claimed the tunnel felt longer on the inside than the outside. This was never proven, but the consistency of reports made the tunnel locally feared. The post-war period, the peak of strange reports. After World War II, traffic increased significantly. Trucks, buses, and taxis began using the route frequently. This is when the most persistent legends formed. Common reports included passengers disappearing between tunnel entry and exit. Drivers seeing people walking inside the tunnel who vanish when approached. And vehicles stalling in the middle of the tunnel with no mechanical fault. Taxi drivers, in particular, reported repeated experiences of picking up passengers near the mountain pass area who either never spoke during the ride, or were not present when the driver checked mirrors or arrived at destination. One widely repeated story describes a driver transporting a silent passenger who requested to be dropped on the other side of the mountain. Upon arrival, the back seat was empty. The fare was still paid, but no money was ever physically found. The echo theory, local explanation of the phenomenon. Over time, locals developed their own interpretation of the strange events. They called it echo persistence of the mountain. According to this belief, the mountain does not erase events that occur within it. Instead, it replays them under certain conditions. Heavy fog, low temperature, and minimal human presence. This theory attempts to explain why similar sightings occur repeatedly in the same locations. Scientifically, these experiences can be linked to sound reflection anomalies in tunnels, visual distortion in low light, and psychological suggestion in isolated environments. However, the consistency of specific stories keeps the legend alive. Modern era, restricted access and continuing reports. Today, newer highways bypass the old mountain pass completely. The tunnel is partially restricted, and sections of the original road are overgrown or blocked. However, curiosity seekers and urban explorers still attempt to visit. Modern reports include GPS malfunction inside tunnel zones, camera glitches in specific sections, unexplained temperature drops recorded on digital devices, and audio recordings capturing footsteps behind empty corridors. Even with advanced technology, no definitive explanation has been confirmed. Some footage remains debated online, especially clips showing figures appearing briefly in tunnel reflections before disappearing. Why the story refuses to die. Unlike many folklore tales, the Kyushu mountain pass story is rooted in documented construction struggles, recorded accident clusters, repeated police reports of missing travelers, and consistent modern anecdotal experiences. This overlap between real history and unexplained perception is what keeps the legend alive. It is not a single event that created the story, it is hundreds of small, repeated moments across generations. Final thought. The Kyushu Mountain Pass Tunnel is not officially classified as haunted, and no scientific body has confirmed any supernatural activity. Yet its history is undeniable: a dangerous mountain route, repeated human tragedy, engineering difficulty, and decades of unexplained reports. Whether the truth lies in geology, psychology, or something beyond explanation, one fact remains consistent across all accounts. People do not forget what happens in that mountain. They simply stop talking about it. And those who still do, often say the same final warning. If you enter the old tunnel, do not stop halfway. Because the mountain has never stopped remembering who entered it.